I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be how women know that you're interested in them. I got an email here from a guy who's been reading my book, and let's just jump right into it. He says, "Hey Corey, I hope all is well with you. I have a few questions in response to the video that you put up called Being Patient with Your Progress. I am on part 2 of your book, The Art of Understanding. Here you mention that a guy takes away the anticipation and challenge if he indicates his interest in a woman. My question to you is at what point during a conversation should I make my intentions clear to her? For example, I meet a woman on the bus one day and engage her in a conversation. Do I make it obvious to her that I am looking for something, or do I wait for her to ask me if I have a girlfriend?" And I would say just the very fact that you're talking to her and you've initiated a conversation, she's got a pretty good idea that you're interested in her just by the fact that you're talking to her, because she can see it in your eyes, the way you look at her, your enthusiasm. I'll give an example, and this is the kind of thing that happens to me everywhere I go these days, just because of all the work that I've done on myself. Now, I was actually, yesterday I was shopping to buy some supplies to juice vegetables with. And as I was walking through the aisle where all the produce is, I caught out of the corner of my eye, there was an attractive girl. I would say she's probably maybe a 6 or a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. She had a nice figure. She had nice skin, a little pale, kind of looked like she needed some sun. But I thought she was really cute. But she wasn't the type of woman that just made me pause and go, oh my God, like I have to talk to you. She was just an average, cute, attractive girl that you see all over the place. And obviously the thing that I noticed about her is the way that she looked at me. And this is the thing that's key for guys that are just starting to learn this stuff, is that until you've interacted with enough women, you don't know this yet, because most guys who are just finding out about my material are probably going to be like I was, and that most of the women that you talk to and interact with and that you've tried to date in the past, more than likely either they had boyfriends or they were unavailable or they just simply weren't that interested in you. And so most of what you know and have experienced in the past regarding women is interacting with women that aren't really that excited to be around you. And therefore, you're probably used to things being very frustrating. Well, back to this girl that I saw in the grocery store yesterday. I found her attractive, but not attractive enough to the point where I actually was interested in getting her phone number, even though I could tell by the way she looked at me, just because wherever we were in the store, because I saw her a couple times throughout the store, she'd be turning down the same aisle. I'd always make eye contact with her, and she'd smile at me. And so when you meet a woman, or you're walking by in a store, and she looks in your eyes, and she smiles back, that's an invitation that, hey, I'm single, I'm available. Because if a woman is taken, or she's in a marriage, or she's got a relationship, or she's not interested in a relationship, or she's just not interested in you, she's not going to make eye contact with you. She's not going to look at you. But this particular girl that I'm talking about, it's obvious that she was single, she was available, she's looking to meet a guy, just by the very nature of the fact that I looked at her, she looked at me, and she didn't look away, and she smiled. It was her invitation to say, wow, I like what I see. Hopefully you'll come over and talk to me. Now, it doesn't mean that every woman that looks at me that I'm going to want to go over and talk to her and engage her in conversation. As a matter of fact, a little while later, when I pulled into the checkout lane, there was another really attractive girl who was a lot prettier than this first one. She had just nice big boobs, just beautiful smile, beautiful eyes, dark hair, a little short, and she was just very friendly, and she was buying a Vitamix blender, which Whole Foods was selling. I think it's just like $400 or $500. And so she had this big giant thing at the counter. She's this little petite girl, and I said, so how much did the Vitamix set you back? She says about $400. And so we started talking about, because obviously I have a lot of shit to juice with. I've got wheatgrass and kale and celery and just like an enormous pile of greens. And she's got a great smile, and she starts talking, and so she starts asking me what I'm doing and like what kind of a juicer I have. And I'm excited to talk to this girl because she's really pretty. She's a lot more attractive, and I wanted to talk to her. Whereas the girl I'd see in the produce aisle, I could tell she wanted me to talk to her, but you call it, I just wasn't interested in her in that way But I still enjoyed the fact that she smiled at me. I had no problem making eye contact or just saying hello as I walked by. But I'm not going to stop and strike up a conversation because she just doesn't do it for me in that way. Yeah, she's attractive, and when I was 25, 30 years old, I would have probably jumped all over the opportunity to get laid, because back then I hadn't experienced it a lot, and I wasn't used to being able to meet and pick up the kind of women that I'd always wanted. I was always like on the outside looking in. And so as we proceeded to talk, she's asking me what I got, and then like towards the end, for whatever reason, it took her a long time to get her stuff checked out, and then she starts apologizing. She said, "Oh, I'm really sorry that I delayed you and it took so long to get me checked out." I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Sunday or Saturday is my day off." And so like about a few seconds later, she's getting ready to leave. This big guy comes over and he's got a baby. And so I assume, because she didn't have a ring on or anything, and I assume this is either her guy or maybe her brother or whatever. And I didn't think anything of it. And as they walked away, the checkout guy says to me, he says, "You weren't nervous talking to her because of that guy?" I was like, and my attitude was, why? I could tell what he was getting at. He's like, "Oh, you're afraid this big guy's going to kick your ass?" And I said, I treat everybody as a friend, like as is everybody I know, because he's not used to seeing that. He's not used to seeing people in the checkout line having a conversation, because most people when they're in this checkout line, they ignore each other and they don't talk. And here I am, good-looking dude, talking to this real pretty girl, and obviously her boyfriend or maybe her brother, I don't know what it was, what their relationship was. I don't really give a shit. He came over, and I was just having an innocuous conversation. I wasn't trying to get her phone number or anything. I was just having a conversation with her while we're in line, passing the time, just because that's the way I am wherever I go. And that's just how my experiences are. I don't think anything of it. And it's obvious. I mean, I found her attractive, and that's why I talked to her, and she didn't mind talking to me, and she had a big smile on her face. And even though she's probably in a relationship and probably very happy, she enjoyed the fact that she had a nice conversation with some random, strange, attractive guy, and she learned a little bit about juicing, and she learned a little bit about juicers in line. And so it was a plus for her, and it was a plus for me. And it was just interesting, the perspective of the guy that's checking us out, because in his mind, he thinks, "Oh, I'm talking to this girl." And so I can tell in his life, he doesn't talk to a lot of women because he's afraid of a boyfriend or he's afraid of a guy. And that's what's great about talking to women that are in groups of guys, because 9 times out of 10, especially if you're out or in a public setting, the guys that she's talking to are mostly going to be guy friends or maybe a brother. And so that way, if you engage them in conversation too, just like you do her, and you don't treat anybody any different, you don't have this, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry for talking to your girl" kind of mindset. It's just kind of thing that happens wherever I go. I mean, I could be married. I could have 3 girlfriends at home. They don't know. They don't know what's going on in my life. That's just the way I approach things. It's all perception. Perception's reality. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're going up to women and you're talking to them, just the fact that you're talking to them, they know that you're probably interested. He says, "It may seem like a silly question, but I have a tendency to rush into it, like a fast train going 100 miles an hour, man. And I would say the reason that you're rushing is because you haven't done it enough. You haven't talked to enough women enough. You haven't engaged enough strangers in conversation. And I would say something that will help you for the time being, don't worry about asking for phone numbers. That shouldn't be your objective. My objective when I go out is just to be myself and have a good time. And if the opportunity arrives to chat people up in line or as I'm walking through the store, I'm not going to go up and try to create conversation with a chick who won't even look me in the eye. Why? Because she's unavailable, and I want a woman that's really into me, that likes what she sees, just like the gal I talked about in the produce aisle. I could tell by the way she looked at me that she liked what she saw. And I found her attractive, just not attractive enough and not enticing enough to where I was interested in her to the point where I really seriously considered getting her phone number. It was just nice to say hello in passing, and that was as far as I wanted to take the conversation. But the girl in the checkout line, I liked her a lot more. I didn't know if she had a boyfriend or not, and just engaging her in conversation and seeing what happens. And I mean, she was cute, and she was really a lot prettier than the other one. But as far as what I was personally looking for, she wasn't it. I didn't get that vibe. I didn't get that energy. But I still had a great conversation with her, and she enjoyed the conversation with me because she was smiling ear to ear the whole time. And it was just great. It's a great experience for both of us and everybody else around us that watched this. He says, I think the best thing in this situation would be to ask questions about her lifestyle, her work pattern, and once I find these out, I could ask her if she has any free time, and if she does, if she would be up for a coffee get-together sometime. And I would say you're getting too worked up, and you're worried about, and you're thinking about what you're going to say too much, as opposed to just being present and being involved in the conversation, like I was at the checkout counter. The idea is you talk about innocuous things. What's the kind of shit that you would, if you hadn't seen a friend in like 6 months and you ran into each other at the checkout line, what would you be talking about? How you been? What have you been up to? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's your girlfriend? How's your buddies? How's so-and-so? How's work? How's this? How's that? You'd be asking those kind of simple, innocuous questions. And if you're shopping someplace, a great thing to ask is you can ask things about what people have on the conveyor, about what they're buying, why they're buying. Is it a gift? Who they buying for? Oh, you juice vegetables? Really? What kind of a juicer do you have? Just simple, innocuous things that somebody you already know would ask you, and so it's very non-threatening. And when you're in a conversation like that, if the girl lights up, if she's really smiling, if she's into the conversation, she's going to want to know personal things about you. I mean, if you're fascinated by this girl, you're going to want to know about her, right? And so if you're fascinated by her, and if she's fascinated by you, she's going to be asking you questions. Was she touching her hair? Is she twirling around her fingers? I mean, this girl I was talking to yesterday in the checkout line, she wasn't doing that. And obviously, once the guy walked over, now I kind of understand why, because even if she might have found me attractive, she's with a dude and she's happy in a relationship, but she's also happy to engage me in a nonchalant, total non-threatening conversation. And so the simple thing to do is just say, hey, you seem like a really nice girl. I'd really like to meet you out for a drink sometime or a cup of coffee. When are you free over the next week? And wait for her to respond. Because, see, when you're worried, you say, I'm like a fast train going 100 miles an hour. The thing is, you got to slow it down. You got to breathe. You got to take your time and just ask her. Ask her the things that you want. And if you feel fearful, that means you're trying to rush things, and that tells me you haven't practiced enough. And so maybe for you, it's a little bit better to go to the mall and practice just talking and interacting with women. But the key if you're trying to go 100 miles an hour and then you ask a woman a question like, hey, what days are you free next week so we can meet up for a drink? And then you pause, you got to give her time to answer. This is a sales technique. For any of you that have been in sales, you're aware of it. Like when you present an offer to a client, hey, are you interested in buying this? Or are you interested in making a decision today? That whatever you use for your closing, as we like to say in sales, or the trial close to see what your interest of your buyer is. And so when you give the woman that you're talking to, a chance to respond, it's like playing poker. You get her to reveal what her true feelings of interest and attraction for you really are. And if she's interested in you, and if she likes you, and if she really is into you, she'll be twirling her hair around her fingers, and she'll be running her hands through her hair, and she'll be asking you questions, and she'll be giggling at the things that you say. And you really never know for sure until you ask for the number what her response is going to be. And by giving her the time to respond, because the bottom line is if she really likes you, she'll say, hey, I'm free Tuesday, or I'm free Wednesday. And she'll write down all of her numbers, maybe her email address. The more enthusiastic she is about you and the more she likes you, the easier she's going to make it for you to meet up with her. Now, if her interest is low and she's not really that into it, she'll say things like, oh, well, why don't you give me your phone number? Or I don't know you that well, or I normally don't give out my number to guys I don't know. Those are the kinds of things that you'll hear. And the more she likes you, the easier she makes it for you. And the less she likes you, the harder she makes it for you. So in the meantime, what I would do now is I would practice interacting and having conversations with people. And when you don't feel that sense of urgency, like you're choking on your air because you're nervous, then when you don't feel that anymore, then go ahead and start asking for phone numbers. But the idea is to go at your own pace, to